So as promised yesterday, today we're going to explore the greatest treasure that India has to offer, the greatest treasure that the world has to offer. We're going to discuss the science of Krishna. But here's the thing. It's very difficult to understand the Supreme Conscious Person if we don't accept that we are a non-material entity. Sometimes I think to ask you, but I don't think you'll give me a straight answer. How many of you actually, in some way, shape, or form, or intuition, think or believe or entertain the thought that you are a spiritual entity different from matter? Raise your hands, please. Okay, a few raise their hands. How many of you are not sure? Raise your hands. Okay, thank you for your honesty. And how many of you are convinced you're simply matter and nothing more? Raise your hand. No one raises their hand. Just see. So you're not materialists. Either you're having some idea that you're a non-material entity, or you're wishy-washy, or, well, could be, could not be. So you see the situation. Without definitive, comprehensive, precise understanding of our non-material identity, what's the point in considering that there's a supreme spiritual identity? There's no point. If we're simply matter that's come together by chance arrangements, then why should anything matter? If we let some dirty water go down the drain, no one laments. But if we try to put you down the drain, there'll be a struggle. Well, why should there be a struggle if you're just matter? This is a point that Krishna makes in chapter 2 of Bhagavad Gita when explaining to Arjuna, if you think you're just material, then there's no reason to lament. So much matter is coming into existence and going out of existence. So think about it. Why do you care so much about yourself if you're just matter? Are you convinced that you're just a bag of chemicals that has come together by random chance? Living in a universe that's come together by random chance out of nothingness. Is that it? You can't really accept that. But the problem is you don't know anything concretely that is different. So you're stuck in the middle. Again, hybrids. You don't want to be known as a true believer, right? Village person who accepts folklore. At the same time, you can't be a complete physical reductionist materialist. Physical reductionist materialist means you just have a fanatical belief that everything is just made of matter, particles and waves of matter, and that's it. You can break down everything. You can reduce everything. There's just components of matter, however defined. Vibrations of matter or whatever. Still, no matter what it is, a car, a person, a child, all can be broken down just into bits of matter that have come together by chance. So that's a physical reductionist. But you can't accept that. It's too extreme. That you have no free will. Free will is an illusion. You have no self. The self is an illusion created by the brain. Then Then why do anything? Why so motivated for happiness? Are you just a robot? Why the desire to love and be loved? And why the urge to understand what is existence and your role in existence? How many of you here are married? Please raise your hand. Okay. Those of you who are not married, how are you going to propose to your, or how are you going to finalize the match? My dear bag of chemicals. There's something about your chemicals that just, excites my chemicals. Somehow or other, by chance, we've come together. By the random interaction of the particles of matter. You have come together as what you are. I have come together as what I am. And now, by more random interaction, we are considering to be together. Just like two billiard balls colliding for no reason other than chance. Is that how you're going to make your make your statement? Or, like I always quote, arguably the most famous scientist in the world, Stephen Hawking. He just comes right out and says, just face it, you're simply chemical scum on a moderate-sized planet. So that would be a great way when you're on the web looking for partners. What's that website? Shadi.com. So your opening greeting will be, hi, chemical scum. I'm chemical scum too. Let's just get together and discuss. You're not going to do that. So only a very extreme person can accept this reductionist, materialist position. But we don't know anything about the spiritual science. So here's how you're trapped in the hybrid world. You don't want to be a total hardcore materialist, reductionist, but you also don't want to be a true believer accepting village folk tales and mythology, right? So what do? Generally what happens, due to lack of precise spiritual knowledge, generally you just drift, being buffeted, tossed here and there by whatever waves are coming through society. No anchor. And certainly your children will have no anchor. Just clinging to some traditions and some rituals with no understanding of why. So this is the great tragedy, that the nation with the greatest treasure to offer the world is unaware of that treasure. Due to a misuse of intelligence. We talked yesterday about shreyas and preyas, acting for the ultimate good and acting for the temporary immediate good. Every human being is caught up with those two things. So you have to know how to deal with both the ultimate good and the temporary good. Yoga means to balance the ultimate good with the temporary good, while always knowing that it is the ultimate good that is by far the most important. In fact, the Krishna conscious person, the bhakti yogi, knows how to deal with the temporary issues, the temporary good, all for the sake of achieving the ultimate good. This is lifestyle engineering at its best. Something is missing, and you all are aware of that sometimes. When you're not so busy and not running around so frantically, you're aware something is missing. But you don't want to go to one extreme or the other. You don't want to be a hardcore physical reductionist materialist, and you don't want to be a sentimental village believer in the gods. Still, even though you don't want to swallow the whole folk tale about the gods, how many of you, when taking your exams, went to some temple and prayed to the gods? Come on. Just see. Insurance policy, right? And who knows, maybe there's some truth to it. And so therefore, the more gods that you appease, the more gods that you offer little puja to, who knows, one of them might be real. This is a broad spectrum insurance policy. So then why Krishna? Why the focus on Krishna? Yes? Your own parents and grandparents might tell you, well, Krishna is one of the gods. The problem is that we don't know Bhagavad Gita, which is the most universal, authoritative Shastra, spiritual text. The land of Bhagavad Gita has forgotten Bhagavad Gita, overlooked Bhagavad Gita. Everyone knows about it, but no one has read a genuine Bhagavad Gita, and therefore the bewilderment. It's like you claim to know IT, but you don't know anything about coding. Who's going to hire you, right? Oh yeah, IT. I know IT. Just like so many times I hear, I know Krishna. I know IT. Similarly, people, if someone says, I know IT, but can you do any coding? No, I know IT. You would laugh. So the greatest confusion in the land of Krishna is caused by no scientific knowledge of Krishna. And therefore all the traditions, all the demigods, all the yoga cities, the yoga mystic perfections, it's uncorrelated, and it's just all a hodgepodge, it's all just unrelated. And so intelligent persons like you all just say, can't go that route. But then again, we don't want to be hardcore materialists, say everything's just matter that's come together by chance. So you're stuck. So since you can't figure it out, better just make money and enjoy, right? Not simply make money for yourself, but for others too. Right? Yeah, what can you do? You rebel. Like, why is it I have to figure everything out? Why can't I just work, money, 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 family gets bigger, 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 house gets bigger, 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 garage gets bigger, bigger, bigger. Why can't I just do that? And as long as I don't hurt too many people in the process, if there is an afterlife, if there are the gods or the God, I guess something good will happen to me. I don't know. How many of you are concerned ever with the next life? Raise your hand. Very few. Yeah, very few. This life is what we have. But, as you know, this lifetime will end. So real human civilization, as presented in Bhagavad Gita, is one that provides a successful life now as well as in the next life. A demoniac civilization convinces you, just focus on the now. You have one body, one lifetime, one opportunity. And while you're having that one body, that one lifetime, you spent so many years as a child, you don't know anything, and then at the end you're old, you're sick, so you've got just a few decades, right? When you're a young adult, an adult, you have a few decades to cram in all the fulfillment of the desires, right? To cram in all the success. So you can remember, when you were children, what did you know? You should be played with toys. Then, when you were a teenager, the pressure was on you. Study, study. Be prepared. Go overseas to study more. And then in your 20s, you were finishing your studies and trying to get the PR and trying to get established, pay back the loans. And then when you're in your 30s, okay. Then it's family time, expansion time, children. Then you can enjoy your empire. Job, house, wife, husband, children. So you can do that in your 30s, your 40s, your 50s. Then in your 60s, you start to slow down. And the diseases start to come. Especially since you put your body through such punishment trying to achieve the goals when you're in your 20s and 30s. You have to pay a price when you're old. So basically, you've got 30 years. In your 30s, your 40s, your 50s. When you can just fully pursue your desires. Before that, you're a child or you're studying in school. And then after that, your body is slowing down. So what are you going to do? Then when you're in your 70s, you'll just relish your grandchildren, right? So is this life? Just 30 years, assuming that you're healthy during that time. 30 years in which you can, so to speak, fly the flag. I'm me. I'm getting things. I'm achieving. I'm expanding. Just see my children. My wealth is increasing. I'm rising on the corporate ladder. Is that all there is to it? And then death comes. And what? You submit voluntarily? All right, I will die. No, you become desperate. Is there a doctor that can save me? And then what happens when you realize there's nothing that can save you? We can handle both the ultimate good and the temporary good through a proper, balanced, Krishna conscious lifestyle. I thought to ask you how much you know about Krishna, but then first I wanted to push this point more about misuse of intelligence, misuse of the energies of the human form of life. So I thought, at first, my plan was, let's discuss the science of Krishna. But I still see that you need to be convinced about the distortion of human intelligence. I was doing a program Thursday night before I came here, and there were some graduate students from Melbourne Uni there, and a couple of them were from China. So I told them how whenever I speak at events in China, I teach the people a mantra. But it's not the Hare Krishna mantra. It's a mantra that I know they are so familiar with. It's their life. It's their essence. And when I tell them the mantra, they all agree, yes, that's it. That is life here. So what's that mantra I teach them? Work, buy, consume, die. Yes, that's it. That's China. You work so hard, but you can buy so many things. You consume, and then you die. No one knows anything beyond that. So how is it that you all are superior? The Chinese are very family conscious. They're very conformist. It's hard for them to do something different than what everyone else is doing. Of course, they have no understanding of anything spiritual. And you have some foggy understanding, but no comprehensive, profound understanding. Some people even say that what has held India back for so long is too much focus on the spiritual. This is not the time for spiritual lifestyles. This is the time for materialism. You have to harmonize with the times. These are not the times for being a vegetarian, for not drinking alcohol. These are not the times for controlling the senses. So I've heard persons defending themselves in that way. Swamiji, please, we are just harmonizing with the times. One has to do that. Meat eating is a part of the times. Alcohol. Pursuing your sensual gratification. It's all the way it is now. How can you blame us? We are just we're fitting in with the current atmosphere. Isn't that what you're supposed to do? This is not the time to be spiritual. Maybe some of you have told that to yourself. This is not now. It's not the time to be spiritual. But when is the time? When you're so old, your body's broken down, your mind is worn out. That's the time for being spiritual? No, then it's very difficult to start because you're so broken down and fixed in so many habits. The best time to start is when you are young. So I wanted to show you one last example of where the misguided intelligence is leading. What is it doing? It's like a fever. And in that fever, we forget what is the real goal in life. To understand, am I this body or different from the body? What is the supreme personality of Godhead? Bhagavan. And what is my relationship with Bhagavan? Is it just a folk tale or mythology for the villagers? Or is there something to it? So while we're trying to sort ourselves out, sometimes thinking when we have a few spare moments, which isn't often, while we're trying to think in that way, meanwhile, Krishna has covered the world. Knowledge of Krishna is available on every continent. On every continent, persons are practicing Krishna's instructions. So an extraordinary global phenomenon has happened. You'll be happy to know that because you don't want to be villagers, you want to be known as global persons. In the past 50 years, you can see that Krishna is for everyone. But let me ask you, before we go to our video. The video we're going to do is the Bangalore video. You ready? Okay. So, what do you know about Krishna? What is your conception? Any honest persons? Raise your hand. No one knows anything about Krishna? Yes. Supreme what? Supreme consciousness. And where did you learn that?
Yeah.
Where did you learn that?
From Vedas and
Vedas.
And the Bhagavad.
You have read Vedas and Bhagavad Gita. Okay. That Krishna is a supreme consciousness means Krishna is a supreme person. Because consciousness means a person, right? Okay. Anyone else? Yes, in the back.
Our belief and faith.
Huh?
Krishna is our belief and faith.
Krishna is our belief and faith. What does that mean?
What personally I
Whose? You say our. Whose?
Sorry?
You say Krishna is our belief and our faith. Who is the our? Who are the persons?
Mine.
Oh, your Krishna is your belief and your faith.
Yeah.
Okay. Why?
Because I feel
You feel what?
that is my belief.
Where did you get this belief from?
Whatever I just have any wish which I am having in my mind related to Krishna. Like whenever I just think like I must get a bead, this mala, just to have the name of the God. And the very next day, there are some such circumstances that I got that. So there are many more such circumstances that when I just have a single thought related to Krishna, like I must get one very big poster of Krishna, then very next day, anyhow, I just get that. So there are so many such incidents, so that's why I would say it's my belief and faith.
Maybe it's all by chance. Random interaction of the universe.
No, it's not by chance.
So that is your belief?
Yeah.
Okay. Now how did this belief start? We're interested in the autobiography of a true believer. Can you please tell us how this all began?
Earlier I was not much, intensely I was not occupied in belief. So last few years back, one of my cousin, he is intense devotee of Krishna, and he used to take, he is very much having belief in Krishna. So whenever I just sit in his company, he used to take the name of Krishna, like at every single talk, like we are talking, so we are taking the name of, suppose, our family members, our husband, our son, or anyone else. He used to take the name of Krishna. Bihariji will do this work. I'm just thinking about Bihariji. I'm not having any worry about anything because Bihariji is here. He will just take care of me. I just found that in every single talk, I just heard the name of Bihariji in his talk, in that person's conversation. So I just started to believe in that person's belief.
Contagious, huh?
Yes, it is contagious.
He's a true believer, so you became a true believer.
Yeah, it is a positively contagious, I would say.
Oh, I see. Okay. But about this Krishna, this Bihariji, how much do we know? Do we have knowledge, deep knowledge, or simply we caught some belief through contagious interaction?
Knowledge, like whatever it's, but I have just...
Feeling, you have the feeling.
I read also Bhagavad Gita and some other like Christian, like on the childhood of the Krishna, what the videos I have
Oh,
seen.
video, okay.
Yeah, so as per that I am having knowledge. I will not say that I am having completely knowledge, but.
All right, thank you
Yeah.
for your honest
Thank you.
presentation. Any others? Yes.
Swamiji, all I know about Krishna is since childhood we've been told by parents about Krishna being our God. And
What about your grandparents? Did they tell you also?
yeah, pretty much. It's been coming down the lineage.
Yes, Mahabharata stories.
More on the Krishna base because I am a Yadav and we pray more to the Krishna God rather than
Tradition, yes.
Yeah, the tradition.
Yes,
So
yes.
through that I know about Lord Krishna. We have temples, in our whole village. And
Are you related to that guy who used to be what, head of UP? What's his name?
Lord Krishna. Everyone asks me this question. I'm from Central, anyways.
Okay.
So that's how I come to know about Krishna, like through parents, and they taught children, So that's how we watched these television shows when we were young, Krishna, and that's how we got to know about Gita and stuff, and other books.
Didn't you think it was kind of like mythology?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
So that's all I actually know about Krishna so far. Like other gods, we have other gods as well.
Yeah, yes, of course, other guys.
Yeah.
Broad spectrum insurance policy. Did you worship all of them, or just how many?
Well, I never worshipped any until recently. I started to question things, and that's where the curiosity comes from. So I'm still seeking. I'm not sure. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's all I know about.
All right. Anyone else? What do you know about Krishna? Yes.
In my point of view, Krishna is nothing but I'm a kind of person. I can
A
explain.
kind of person?
Yes.
Are you a kind of person?
I can explain with one sloka here. Yatra cha yena cha yadha cha yascha yavascha shubhashubha
Where did this sloka come from?
After completion of war, Yudhishthira asked to Krishna, like, who are you? Straight forward one. Then Krishna.
You're speaking from Mahabharata.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then.
Bhagavad Gita, is part of Mahabharata,
Yes. And then after that he replied like tatra cha tena cha tada cha tascha tava.
I appreciate you know Sanskrit, but can you give us the purport? We are impressed. You are from the right caste. But no one cares about caste in Australia.
He just replied to Yudhishthira like, I am a person who performed his work in whole life, like you did good things or bad things. The replied and the karma for that one result, I will give to that person whether he gonna be a realization of what kind of work he did pastly.
Still, you haven't told me who is Krishna. What is your view?
He is a
Okay. But you said he's kind of a person. So I ask you, are you kind of a person?
according to
When it comes time for prasad today at lunchtime, we'll tell the server, serve the prasad to this kind of a person here.
Actually, kind is nothing but the man who
Man.
who can explain about him. Like according to my view, it's kind is nothing but people used to be think like kind is.
Wait, we just want to hear who do you think Krishna is? You started off saying kind of a person.
Like we can analyze him, but we can't imitate him. Krishna.
You can analyze him with what? Your material
Spiritual
limited
knowledge.
senses.
Yeah.
Really? Mm.
But we can't.
Of course, you realize that Bhagavad Gita says different. But anyway, I simply asked you, what do you know about Krishna? And you replied. All right. Who else who has an answer?
Krishna is very chilled guy, like, you know.
Very well. What is that?
He's cool. He's cool.
Cool. So what, you're thinking that you're cool, therefore Krishna must be cool, right?
He's very friendly, very clever. I've not read anything, like I'm not intelligent, I would say, but I've seen Mahabharata videos and all. He's very,
That's where the scientific knowledge is coming from.
and very
Mahabharata videos on TV, that's how everyone knows who Krishna is, huh?
very strategic, like the way he's very friendly as well. I feel comfortable, like praying to him. It's not like.
But how do you know who he is? From the Mahabharata videos on TV, right? Okay. Next. Yes.
Krishna is the ultimate guru for all.
Ultimate guru for all. Why? Why do you say that?
Because at the time of war, Krishna is giving guidelines to Arjuna.
Giving what?
Guidelines.
Yes. You studied those guidelines?
No.
So then how can he be the guru for all? You're not taking lessons from him.
Because he's giving guidelines to someone who is at the top.
Okay, so are you taking it from the top?
Okay, I can just observe that.
Observe what?
He's giving guidelines to someone who is in the top. So he's guru for all.
Including you.
Yes.
But are you taking the guidance?
Yeah, now it's a part of it.
Now. Oh, very good. Okay. Anyone else? You already said something, yeah?
Yeah, but I missed out on something that I wanted to say.
All right.
It's just that I believe Krishna was a person who came into a human form thousands of years ago, and
You believe that? Why?
because that's what it's been told in the
On television.
in the books as well. So I believe that
Which books?
even in Gita we have
You have read, studied Gita?
little bit, not all the way, but that's what my understanding is, that he was a person. He had the supreme. He had the power from the supreme. You know.
He had the power from the Supreme.
What I mean to say was Krishna was in the form of a human while he was on earth, you know, and then he had some power to, like, from the top.
Oh, so there's something beyond Krishna.
Yes. I mean,
Really?
Because I know Krishna as a person who visited earth in an avatar or whatever you wanna, whichever way you wanna.
How do you know that?
Through the books, as you said, Mahabharata mentioned.
You have read them all?
I've never read them all.
Ah, I see.
We know the stories, right? Krishna.
You're right, the grandmother told you the story. I understand.
And the book says the stories too. So
Yes,
Krishna-
but you haven't read the books.
I don't have, like, I haven't read all of them, but we know the books, right? We know how it's been going.
We know Krishna.
Yeah, we know.
How about this one? Often, if I ask someone, who is Krishna? They'll tell me something like, he's the Hindu forest love god. What do you think?
Well, what I think, to be honest, is what I know, to be honest, at the moment.
How do you know? What is your occupation?
IT.
Information technology. But I'm simply asking you where you get your information about Krishna. Now, no, okay. Now suppose I want to enter the IT field.
Yep.
And I say, well, I have a feeling for what IT is, and I believe that this is the way the information system should work. What would you say?
Well, you have to make a jump to find out, like,
How?
you have to,
I believe. Yeah, I've seen on TV.
you have to study. Yeah.
Study? I have belief. I know the stories.
Stories come from? They come from authentic source?
Stories are stories.
No, the stories come from authentic source. Mahabharata told about Krishna and Arjuna, that he was born, he did all these miracles. So he must have had the power from somewhere at the top source. Now,
But what you just said is not what Bhagavad Gita or Mahabharata say.
yeah.
No. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, there is nothing superior to me, there's nothing beyond me. Mata pratsanam nanya kincharasti dhananjaya.
Exactly. But what I knew about Krishna.
What I know about IT. What I know about IT is that everyone is stressed out. That is my belief. But no, I appreciate your presentation.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
When I
Yes, no. Yes.
I'm also IT guy.
Information technology. Where is the highest information? But go on.
According to me, from my childhood, I've always believed it's just a fictitious figure. Because I used to see Mahabharata videos and I used to think, okay, who's a guy who was raising the mountain and saving everyone, playing with the people on the movies. And then I used to ask my grandfather, who's the god? He used to tell me he's one of the gods. Okay. Because it's a virtual figure in my mind always, even still now. Because I haven't studied Bhagavad Gita. But when recently, 3 years ago, my belief started again. When I was just driving and I used to think about Krishna, because I watched a movie, Oh My God, in India.
Because what?
I watched a movie, it's called Oh My God in India, and it's based out of Bhagavad Gita. I was like, okay, let's study Bhagavad Gita, let's study. I was just thinking for 3 weeks, and one day I was just stopping at the signal, going to office. Somebody just came, knocked on my window, and gave Bhagavad Gita and left, suddenly. And that day I was like, oh, okay, that wasn't by chance.
Why not?
It can't.
Why not?
Why not before I watched the movie? Why after the movie I was thinking, okay, why Bhagavad Gita? Because in that movie as well, Krishna came as a human being and was guiding one of the actors in the movie, giving logical reasoning of everything. And that I was like, okay, that's something not fictitious, something not just believing blindly. It's more about reasoning. So I had Bhagavad Gita, read 2-3 pages, and like, okay, now
Only?
I will 2-3 pages. Yeah, because there was no one to guide me. My parents doesn't know anything. My grandfather doesn't know anything. And then I even traveled to
You can say
Vrindavan.
that? Your grandfather doesn't know anything?
He was also telling me the stories. Oh, I have seen in movies, and I even traveled to Vrindavan to find out who Krishna is. I've been in the garden of Vrindavan. In everywhere. I asked the people who live in Vrindavan, who's Krishna? They're like, I don't know, people just come and see the murti and go back. Okay.
Yes, this is the problem. Now, we're going to really blame the IT people. How many of you are IT people? Raise your hand. Okay, let's watch and see what's going on in Bangalore, India's Silicon Valley. Lights off, please. So what do you think? In the land of Krishna, you see this huge flood happening. Did you realize all the implications, all the riders that are attached to this IT wave? No comments?
capitalist slaves.
Huh?
We are all capitalist slaves.
All capitalist slaves. Voluntarily, yes? Anything else? You look a little stunned. Shocked, huh? Yes, often you don't get a chance to see the full effects of what you're involved with. You saw the hopes, the dreams, even the elderly who have no real chance of being employed. Still, they're caught up in this religious fervor. I will be part of the IT world. My children are part of the IT world. What about the new type of young ladies? I was watching the ladies when they were listening to her speak. I've had so many boyfriends. I work during the week, on weekend I party. I've been to everywhere, all the big places in India. Oh, I cannot settle down. I've made peace with that. What do the ladies think? Was she free? Why not?
In her young age, she thinks that she can do everything, but when she reach old, she's going to have like I missed in devotion.
Miss what?
Her devotion in praying.
But now she's having fun, she says.
Yeah, that's why she didn't realize. She didn't realize who is she.
But she'll say she's having so much fun, so many boyfriends, parties.
Yeah.
She'll say you're just jealous.
No, it's not jealous because what I think is she is like in a different world. She's like.
Then whom? Different from whom?
From others, you know.
Which others?
Others is maybe in her other community or other lady. She wants to be one of the. Maybe she follows like the other actors or what. I have no idea with that.
No, she's just one of,
Yeah.
of countless persons in Bangalore who live like that.
Yeah, she chooses.
Yes. And she said, oh, I'm having fun. I'm in control of my life. Yeah?
I think the parents should be educated if the child is brought up in a good culture, and if because most of the Indian parents, the mentality is that they want their child to go in engineering, biotechnology and that sort of field. So if parents are educated properly, so there would be a bit difference.
Parents are educated properly about what?
About that there are many other fields other than biotechnology and engineering.
So you're just blaming the focus on particular field.
Yeah.
You're not blaming the lifestyle overall. Huh?
So if the field will change, the lifestyle and everything would be changed.
Let's not just beat up on the IT people. Let's let them off the hook. We're talking about a whole misuse of human intelligence. And the parents are part of that. Like the elderly man was saying about his children who are all in IT. He said, yes, it's emotionally bad, but one has to bear it. So you see, it's like the opposite of the ancient yoga culture in which so much of the intelligence and effort was for self-realization and enlightenment. Now it's going completely another way. There has to be a balance. Anything else? Yes.
Swami, my Veda Guru used to say, my Veda Guru used to say, one
Who
more
used
time.
to say, I'm sorry?
Veda. Guru, from the Guru from whom I learned the Vedas, they used to say that Brahmanas were not allowed to travel overseas, and it is in one.
That is mythology. It is in no Vedic text. It's just kind of folklore belief.
No.
I travel overseas every month.
Yeah, I admit. So today, being a globalist, that is something different. We need to have a different perspective on it. But on the reality, the way that is the environment in which we can realize the Atman is the one being the India, the Bharat being in the Karma Bhumi, where they say that Bhumadhya Rega, it's something that goes, which is where you are bound to do that karma. That is being number one. And number two, only in the restricted circumstances we can focus on the eternal entity. Once we get to expand on these materialistic senses, as the way the Western world progress, one cannot affiliate themselves much onto the supreme entity. It is only on the being simple and focusing on more on need than want, then only the spiritual thing.
Well, let's look at Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita. Arjuna is more powerful than any human being today. Arjuna is a military man and a family man, yet Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita to him in the most complex circumstances, in between two armies about to fight. So, Krishna consciousness, bhakti, can actually handle any situation. You simply have to know what your priorities are. And that is the problem that you're seeing. Abandonment of what is the real priority. And therefore everything else goes downhill. You get caught up. Yes, you notice everyone was so caught up. Like they were being swallowed up by a monster and they could do nothing about it. That's because of their choices. The men, the women, the freshers at Mahendra. They're all just caught up, you notice? They're rushing into the mouth of a monster. Because, well, this is the way life is. But who says life has to be like that? So we're not saying stop the IT. We're not saying stop this, stop that. We're saying add what is most important. You understand? So now, let's continue discussing. Who is Krishna and why this emphasis on Krishna? I wanted you to see this Bangalore video to show you how so much human potential and intelligence is being distorted. So I think you got a picture of that. So we're back to our question, who is Krishna? Now, if we listen to what Krishna says about himself, wouldn't that be the most accurate way to understand Krishna? If I want to understand you, I ask you. So in Bhagavad Gita, you have a chance, the greatest opportunity, to hear from Krishna about Krishna. Why do we need to hear from Krishna about Krishna? Because our senses are so tiny and limited. Our senses and their perceptions are only functioning in a very limited range. But Krishna is beyond the range of our material temporary senses. The only way we can understand Krishna is by hearing from Krishna. We're too tiny. Our senses are imperfect. Our senses are limited. When you try to understand Krishna with your tiny, limited brain, then you end up with an understanding like what you see on TV with the TV stories. But what we are giving here is authorized, authentic knowledge of Krishna. That begins with understanding you as spirit soul, and then understanding Krishna as the supreme soul. The greatest mistake is to think Krishna is an ordinary person doing ordinary activities, or that Krishna is mythology. Now, one thing I always point out is that nowhere in Bhagavad Gita does Krishna ask you to believe in him. Did you know that? There's no verse in Bhagavad Gita where Krishna asks you to believe. But everywhere in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna presents, here is the process for verifying what I'm saying. Take up this process. Enter the bhakti laboratory. You'll see the results. Isn't that fair? But I know so many of you are afraid of belief. That's good. You don't want to base your life on folk tales and mythology. Because we have seen so many misinterpretations and misunderstandings about Krishna, no one knows Krishna, even in the land of Krishna. That's the greatest loss. So in one sense, it's easier to teach Westerners about Krishna. Why? Who knows?
Because you start from the zero.
Right, they are blank slate. But what happens often? You go to India and say something about Krishna, what is the response? I know it, I know it. There's one classical piano school in Vienna, Austria, and they charge two different rates of tuition. One rate is for those who've taken piano lessons before, and the other rate's for those who've never taken piano lessons. The ones who have taken piano lessons before pay the high tuition. And there's another principle that I explain often at retreats. Some of you may have heard it before. The pizza effect. I explained that originally in Italy, where pizza comes from, it was considered a low-class food. Like, what would you say now? Like flat rice or something like that? Some very cheap rice. Yes, what is it called? Poha. But poha can be very tasty. I have some recipes for poha, and it's very good. But anyway, just the rice by itself. No spices, nothing else, no vegetables. I guess it's very cheap. Yeah? So, pizza was considered like that. Low-class food for poor people. Then, somehow, in the 20th century, pizza was taken from Italy to the USA. And there it became such a big success. To the point where now, in the USA, it's everyone's favorite food, pizza. So what happened next? After pizza became such a success in USA, Europe, then it was reintroduced into Italy. And then everyone recognized, oh, this is a wonderful food. Now in Italy, everyone eats pizza. Even in India now, pizza has become so popular, right? At our temple restaurants in India, they all serve pizza. They have to. So what you see is that even though pizza is from Italy, it was not appreciated until it became a success outside of Italy. Then it was reintroduced to Italy as the food that the Americans are wild over. Then the Italians said, well, this is our own food. We should become wild over it too. So this is what Srila Prabhupada, the founder of ISKCON, did with Krishna. People in India were taking Krishna for granted. Oh, I know Krishna. Oh, yes, I have seen the TV shows. Yes, yes. I know the mythologies. I know the folk tales. That was the attitude. So what did Srila Prabhupada do? He took Krishna out of India to the West, where Krishna became so popular. Bhagavad Gita has become so popular. And then, in the early 70s, Srila Prabhupada reintroduced Krishna to India by saying, just see, the Americans are wild over Krishna. The Europeans are wild over Krishna. Everywhere, Asia, Africa, South America, everyone is wild over Krishna. And then, the people in India said, what? Krishna is ours. Yes, we should become wild over Krishna too. So that's what's happening now. The pizza effect. The pizza has been reintroduced into India. What does Krishna say about himself? Let us see. 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Yes. Ajopi san avyatma bhutanam ishvaropi san prakatim sam adhishtaya sambhavam yatma mayaya. Although I am unborn and my transcendental body never deteriorates, and although I am the Lord of all living entities, I still appear in every millennium in my original transcendental form. So what do you notice here? Krishna says he's unborn. That means he appears to take birth, but he never undergoes some biological birth process. Just like the sun seems to rise in the east and set in the west. But the sun is not the product of the east or the west. Similarly, Krishna seems to take birth, but he's actually unborn. Actually, in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna will tell you that you are also unborn. As the spirit soul, the Atma, you are unborn. But you have taken a material body, subject to birth, death, disease, and old age. The mistake commonly made is to think that because I am Atma and have taken a material body, Krishna is also Atma who appears in a material body. Common mistake. Huge mistake. So Krishna is telling you here about himself. I'm unborn. I have a transcendental body that avyatma. It never deteriorates. It's not subject to the laws of material nature. Krishna is telling you his body is spiritual. It's not subject to the laws of nature. So all these misconceptions we have that Krishna is a powerful person in a material body, or Krishna is a material person who some superior power has invested in him, this is all refuted by Bhagavad Gita. So Krishna says, I'm unborn and my transcendental body never deteriorates. What else? I'm the Lord of all living entities. Why? Because all living entities are parts of Krishna. It's Krishna's energy that forms the material bodies of the living entities. And the actual living entity itself, the spirit soul, the Atma, is part of Krishna. So Krishna is telling you, I'm all these things. I'm unborn. I have a all spiritual, transcendental body that never deteriorates. I'm the Lord of all living entities, yet I still come to this material world without being compromised, without being touched by matter. I appear in my original, non-material form, all spiritual form. So this is Bhagavad Gita as it is. Just like a rainbow appears in the sky. Have any rainbows appeared while you were here? No. The rainbow seems to have both of the ends of it resting on the earth. But if you try to find a place where the rainbow is touching the ground, you won't find it. Similarly, Krishna appears in this world. But he's not compromised by this world. He's not a product of matter. He's not touched by the material energy. And Krishna wants to teach you how to be untouched by the material energy. What else does Krishna say about himself in Bhagavad Gita? He says, unintelligent persons think that I am an ordinary person, ordinary human being. Unintelligent persons think first I was impersonal, then I became personal. Unintelligent persons think that I'm just one amongst many gods. All this information is given by Krishna about himself. But who knows it? And then remember, Krishna doesn't ask you to believe. He asks you to make the test. He's inviting you into the bhakti laboratory. So any questions? Yes. No, in the back.
Prabhuji, I just wanted to find out what is the difference between a soul, like property-wise, what is the difference between a soul and the transcendental form of Krishna himself?
Krishna has no material body. There's no difference between his inside and outside. He is all spiritual.
But when our material body perish,
Yes?
then we will be just like Krishna. Then
It depends on how you live your life. Otherwise, you'll get another material body, life after life. Yes, you can become qualitatively equal with Krishna, same quality. Like a drop of seawater has the same quality as the ocean, the same saltiness. But the drop can never equal the ocean in quantity. So you'll always be tiny and finite, whereas Krishna is infinite.
thank you.
A great mistake is to think that I will become one with Krishna. You can have the same quality as Krishna, but you can never be quantitatively equal with Krishna. You're always the part. The part never becomes the whole.
Prabhuji, is it possible that I understand we are all human beings, and in case even if it is a super soul who might have been attained moksha or liberation, so is it possible the soul which actually gets liberation, can it be a permanent one, and can it be submerged with the God, because we are subset of I'm not talking about we, but basically about a particular soul who might get liberations. So is it possible for that soul to actually merge with the God, that is Krishna, who is the supreme power?
When you have a family, can your children merge with you? No. They share the same interest as you in a harmonious family. They cooperate. But how can there be love if the person is merged with you? Love of Krishna is the highest treasure. In order for there to be love, there has to be individuality. So this idea of merging into Krishna is very faulty. It means, I don't want to cooperate with Krishna, I want to be Krishna.
Prabhuji, when
Yes?
yeah, when watching video about the IT guys and Mahendra, they were the new recruits,
The freshers.
the freshers. So more or less, I was also same in my 20s,
How old are you now?
35 now.
Ah.
So to make it in the eyes of the world, yes, I have to make it, and you know what. So I feel at that time the consciousness wasn't there in me. Even if you put gold in front of a blind man, he can't see the gold, So the point what I'm trying to make is that I think it is Krishna's mercy that I want you to elaborate on that, please. That isn't it Krishna's mercy that now we all are here, and by His grace only we can understand Him. And
Yes, but you have your independence. What are you going to do? It's like first verse in Bhagavad Gita. What are they going to do? Kim akurvata Sanjaya. Dhritarashtra is asking Sanjaya, what are they going to do there? That's the first verse in Bhagavad Gita. Similarly, what are you going to do?
I had that freedom when I was 25 or 20 also, but I had not the intellect, the intelligence wasn't there. I'm not saying that I'm intelligent now, but I feel somehow that I was into that rat race, and now, you know what I mean?
Yes. So now please help us.
Yes.
Help us to spread genuine, authentic knowledge of Krishna. Because as you saw in this whole room,
Yes.
practically no one knew who is Krishna. In truth, authentically.
Yeah.
Everyone had their speculations. Oh, I saw on TV. Oh, I heard the stories. No one knows. Krishna, he's one of the gods. But in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Aham Adir Devanam. I'm the origin, the source of all the demigods. Krishna also explains, Kamaistaistha hitagana prapajante nidevata. Persons who have distorted intelligence, they approach the demigods, neglecting Krishna. But Krishna is actually the source of the demigods. It's like going to some lower official and bribing there, rather than going to the chief.
Eventually, finally, isn't it this Krishna's mercy in the end?
That what?
Giving us his knowledge.
Yes, those who have organized this retreat this weekend, they are distributing Krishna's mercy.
Yes.
It's not their mercy, it is Krishna's mercy. The cloud has no rain of its own. The cloud gets the moisture through evaporation from the rivers and oceans, and then the cloud dumps it on the land. Similarly, Krishna's devotees, we have no mercy of our own. We're simply distributing the mercy of Krishna. So you please thank the organizers of this weekend. They are family persons. They're working in IT. Yet, they're using their resources. They're using their intelligence. How to give such a weekend to you. That is Krishna's mercy.
Thank you.
They have families. They have children. Yes, your father is here. Yes. Your mother is here. Yes. Well, they're showing you how you can benefit the whole world. So yes, when you were in your 20s, as you say, you were caught up in all that fever. But now, you can help so many others. First, you heal yourself, and then you can heal others. Yes?
So what are the do's and don'ts if we want to pursue Krishna consciousness?
You have to learn how to live a pure lifestyle, which is not difficult. It's a Krishna-focused lifestyle in which you offer everything to Krishna under guidance. And you avoid negative activities that will cause such a harmful effect to your life and to others. So we can teach you how to live a bhakti lifestyle so that you can understand Krishna rather than just be a believer. We can help you to enter the bhakti laboratory, make the test, and verify what Krishna says. Here Krishna says this about himself. What are you going to do now? Say, well, okay, I believe it. Or I don't know. Sounds good, but who knows? No, why not scientifically verify this through spiritual science? Then what do you say? But, Swamiji, we have no time. Right? First, we must finish our studies. When we finish our studies, we have to get the PR. Then we have to get a job. It's not simply a contract. And then, then we have to get married. And then, on and on it goes. That's all right. All those things are okay. But they're not the main point in life. So we have so many Krishna's devotees here. They're doing all that. They're finishing school. They're getting the PR. They're getting married. They're getting jobs. They're having children. But the central point is Krishna. They understand who is Krishna and how to please Krishna. They have scientific knowledge of Krishna. And they're living in such a pure way, even amidst the contaminations of the world today. It's the best lifestyle for the men, for the ladies, for the children. Why should the ladies simply be trained to be sense objects? Make yourself available. The more you make yourself available, the more popular and successful you are. Like the young lady who was arguing with me 2 weeks ago in Delhi. If a lady wants to make herself available to everyone, that's her choice. It's her choice that is important. She's arguing like this in a temple. So this bhakti lifestyle, this Krishna conscious lifestyle is the best way to live. For everyone. For the men, for the women, for the children. Yes, you do your material duties, but you understand what is shreyas and prayas. What is the ultimate goal and what are the temporary goals. You know how to balance that. Otherwise, what kind of life is it? We forget about the soul, we forget about the Supreme Soul, and we simply work like cats and dogs. Like slaves. Yes? No? Yeah?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. What is the philosophy of simple living and high thinking? Yesterday we saw that Panipat Matajis, they are living very peacefully. That is one side of the band. And they are living in a rented house.
Rented room, one room.
Rented room. In the other side, if there are any financial crisis like health or any other problems, then how can they survive?
They're doing the best they can according to their karmic circumstances. They know that. If you can do better, do better. But don't forget what is your real goal in life. Yes, you have to take care of the family. You have to have a house, medical care. Of course, you're in Australia. Everyone gets medical care. Yes, as a householder, you have to arrange that. But don't forget what is your real goal in life. You can talk to so many of our householder devotees. They're working, they have a home, they have medical care, but they know what is their ultimate goal in life and how to connect everything to Krishna. But I know the paranoia, the fear. Oh, if we become too spiritual, we'll neglect our material duties. Who is doing that? This fear is unjustified and unnecessary. It's just like when a very few of the young men become brahmacharis. Very few. Then when the parents hear about it in India, oh no, what is this? It'll be the end. How many of you men here plan to be brahmacharis? Very few. No, one. Yes, you raise your hand? Okay, there's one in the whole room. So, why is it such a worry? One person wants to be a specialist. Every field needs specialists, right? There are IT specialists, so similarly, there are brahmachari specialists. What's the big deal? Brahmacharis and sannyasis, they're specialists. Very few become specialists in any field. But the world needs some specialists, yes? Not everyone, but some. So it's a great credit to the family if someone becomes a specialist. It's a great credit to the family if someone becomes a brahmachari. Great credit. The family gets spiritual credit from that. They get to double dip. They get credit from their own spiritual activities and also from their son's spiritual activities. But this is a rare case. As you can see, only one person in the room. Raise your hand. Yes, I plan to be brahmachari. But there's this misconception that as soon as you touch your tongue to the Hare Krishna mantra, then you become brahmachari. You'll forget your material duties. Your grades at school will crash. Your workplace performance will crash. All because of Krishna. This is all unnecessary paranoia. This is just mythology. Of course, when you become so stressed out by the workplace and by the studies, by the race, the rat race, and then you go get intoxicated, well, that's okay. But if you chant Hare Krishna, ooh, careful, careful. Right? If you go out for some drinks to relieve your stress, that's permissible. Everyone in India is doing that now. But if you chant Hare Krishna when you come home, oh, what is this? You'll lose your focus on your career. If you go drinking, you don't lose the focus on the career. Chant Hare Krishna, you lose the focus. You see this nonsense? Unmarried young men and women living together, that's all right, it's to save the rent money. I know what's going on. They're not in the same room, they're living in different rooms, just to save the rent money. Eating non-veg? Well, it's to protect you from the cold in Australia. Very cold country. One has to eat non-veg to be healthy. When in Rome, do as the Romans do. When in the West, you have to eat non-veg because everyone is like, you don't have time to cook for yourself. And to find a vegetarian restaurant is so difficult in Melbourne. All these excuses are made. And then the young men and young women have to mix together because that is the way life is here. People think you're strange if you don't do that. While you're waiting for the parents to arrange some marriage, you have to do something, you know. You have to have some social life. And who knows, you might find the right person on your own. This way, so many excuses. The casino is there. Maybe just try it one time with just a little bit of it. I mean, this is Melbourne. You have to at least visit the casino one time. And now, right, the Bollywood movies are becoming more and more degraded, yes? Well, one has to watch it because, you know, that is life. That's what the movie directors in Bollywood say. We're just showing you what life is, how we live. We're being honest. So you pay money to have your consciousness polluted by these things. And once the consciousness is polluted, you want to do those things. So we make all these excuses that we have no time to understand Krishna. But Krishna is explaining himself. So again, I'm unborn. Krishna is not a material person who takes a material birth. I have a transcendental body that never deteriorates. It never ages. It never dies. It's all spiritual. Yet people are thinking Krishna he's a human being, very powerful human being, but he has a material form. And Krishna says, I'm the Lord of all living entities. They're all my parts. All living entities includes the demigods. So you see Krishna's throwing out the broad spectrum insurance policy. Just toss it out, it's nonsense. I still appear in this material world periodically in my original transcendental form. He doesn't take a material body. Because Krishna is the origin of everything, therefore Krishna's knowledge is authoritative. Everything comes from Krishna. Therefore, when Krishna gives you knowledge, you can be sure it's correct. Krishna has no material body, therefore he doesn't make any material mistakes. His senses are perfect because they're spiritual, they're not material. That's the advantage in taking knowledge from Krishna. What Krishna says is perfect for all the phases of time, past, present, and future. This is why knowledge of Krishna is now all over the world and so popular. Take the knowledge from the perfect source. Take the knowledge from Krishna. Any other questions? Okay, concise. Yes.
I still appear in every minute in my original transcendental form.
Mm.
Can I have an elaboration on that?
Question? You like question?
No, yeah. Every millennium in my original transcendental form, what does that mean? Can you elaborate on that?
Sahasra Yuga Paryanta Mahayat Brahmano Vidu. Krishna explains in the 8th chapter, once every day of Brahma he appears. Every 24 hours of Brahma's life, Krishna appears. That's his schedule. That means once every 8,640,000,000 years.
And can you throw some light on the Kalki avatar that is yet to come on the second phase?
Kalki avatar, you'll read, comes at the end of Kali Yuga. Krishna has many expansions and incarnations, but Krishna is the original. Just like with one candle, you can light so many other candles, equal in power, but still there's the original candle. So Krishna is the source of all the avatars. Krishna is not an avatar, he is avatari, the source of all the avatars. The source of all the living entities. So Krishna can expand himself into parts as well as complete wholes. That's how Krishna is perfect and complete. He doesn't simply expand himself into parts. He also expands himself into other complete wholes. Krishna is infinite and he can expand himself into other infinities as well as finite. That's the full definition of Om Purnam, perfect and complete. Yes. But please, let me take questions from someone who hasn't said anything, because we're about to end. I appreciate your eagerness. Thank you. Anyone who hasn't said anything?
Prabhu?
Yes.
Hare Prabhu, actually I couldn't understand the features of transcendental body.
Mm.
When Krishna came in transcendental form, which is not at all material,
Yeah.
how could persons like Duryodhana able to see Krishna?
They're seeing Krishna as a powerful material person. They're not seeing Krishna as he is because they don't have the qualification.
So whatever the body they are looking in Kurukshetra, like Duryodhana, all other warriors, they are also seeing the Krishna.
When Krishna was present, most persons thought he is the most powerful human being on the planet. Very few understood that Krishna is Bhagavan because they don't have the qualification. Just like unless you've been trained as a biochemist, if you look through a microscope at some biological stuff, you won't know what you're looking at. You have to be trained, even though it's right there before your eyes. But similarly, if you want to understand Krishna, you have to be trained by Krishna. You have to have his mercy, otherwise he won't let you see him as he is. No respectable person allows just anyone to see him or her. You have to have qualification. Suppose you want to go see Modi. What will happen? I want to see! I want to see! You don't have the qualification. Similarly, if Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Naham prakasha sarvasya yogamaya samavrata. I'm not exposed to everyone. I don't reveal myself to everyone. I cover myself with my deluding energy. Krishna doesn't allow you to see him unless you have qualification. So the bhakti lifestyle is all about getting the qualification to understand Krishna. Krishna's not cheap. Oh, I saw some videos, I saw some TV, I know Krishna. He's not so cheap. Oh, I saw some TV shows about IT people, I know IT.
Prabhu, sorry Prabhu. Actually, is that the form which all others are looking at is not considered as a material?
No, it is not a material form, but because you don't know anything, you think you're seeing material. And even though Krishna is doing inconceivable things, still, because your mind is poisoned, you think you're looking at a powerful material person. That's why Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, I'm speaking Bhagavad Gita to you, Arjuna, because you are my bhakta. You're my devotee and my sakha, friend. Arjuna is qualified to understand the science of Krishna. Like, what is your field?
Yeah, actually I couldn't understand. I still not able to understand.
What is your field? What field?
IT too.
IT. So you have some qualification, yes? What kind of qualification?
I did my bachelor's in communication technology.
Yes, okay.
So then I entered computer.
So similarly, you get qualified in the Krishna science and you can understand Krishna. Krishna's not cheap. But he's explaining himself. He tells Arjuna, I'm going to teach you the same thing that I've taught before. Nothing new. So if we take the knowledge from Krishna about who Krishna is, then we can see Krishna. Then we can understand Krishna. Duryodhana and his fellows, they were inimical to Krishna. They had no qualification to see him. That's why even Krishna went to Duryodhana and his fellows and said, please, peace, no fighting. They didn't listen. Where's Arjuna recognize who is Krishna? What does Arjuna say in Bhagavad Gita? Param Brahma Param Dhamma Pavitram Paramam Bhava. You are the supreme. You are the supreme abode, the supreme absolute truth, the supreme purifier. And then Arjuna says, it's not only I who am saying this, but all the great authorities, all the great spiritual authorities say Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You see, Arjuna is thinking that in the future people will read Bhagavad Gita and think that Arjuna is saying this about Krishna because Arjuna is Krishna's friend. So he quotes other authorities. Asita, Devala, Vyasa, and then Swayam Chaiva Bhavishime. I'm also saying like that too. So the world of Bhagavad Gita is so fascinating. The rarest and greatest opportunity is to get genuine knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. That is what is now famous all over the world. I was not born in India. How is it I'm knowing Bhagavad Gita? How is it that persons on every continent are knowing Bhagavad Gita? Because Krishna is for everyone. So now you please take this great opportunity. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.